The letter she never sent. Anna stared at her phone for a long time. The message was still there. He deserves the truth. It echoed in her head like an old memory trying to resurface. She hadn't heard from her sister in over 4 years. Not after what happened in Madrid, not after that final phone call where Anna had said something she could never take back. But now the silence was broken. And somehow her sister knew about Keanu that night. She couldn't sleep. She sat on her balcony, wrapped in a thick sweater, the cold air brushing against her skin like a quiet reminder of everything she had locked away. Beside her was a small box she hadn't opened in years. Inside were photos, notes, and one letter she had written but never sent. She unfolded it slowly. Dear Keanu, if you're reading this, it means I finally grew the courage to tell you the truth. Not the actor's truth, but the polished smile, forth a camera truth, the one that lives in the spaces between my breaths. The one I buried every time I looked at you and couldn't speak. Before I met you, I was broken in ways even I didn't understand. After Madrid, after my father's death, after the fight with Sofia, I told myself I didn't deserve good people. I didn't deserve peace. And then you came along. Quiet, kind, never pushing, just being there. And I wanted to believe I could heal. But I was afraid you'd leave too, if you knew what I was carrying. So I smiled. I joked. I performed. And every time you looked at me like I mattered, I wanted to scream the truth. You saved me without knowing, but now I need to stop hiding. And if this letter ever reaches you, I hope you'll still want to stay. Anna folded the letter back with shaking hands. She had written that over a year ago, right after the first movie they did together. She never gave it to him, never even mentioned it. Instead, she ran from anything that felt too close. Now, everything was circling back. She looked at the phone again. She opened her sister's message and typed, "We need to talk." The reply came within seconds. "Meet me tomorrow, 11 a.m. El Punt Cafe alone." The next morning, Anna showed up early. The cafe was quiet, tucked on a side street just outside downtown. She sat at the corner table, ordered coffee, and waited. When Sofia walked in, Anna almost didn't recognize her. Much shorter hair, much older eyes, but the same way of walking. Like she was holding in something sharp and delicate. They didn't hug, they just sat. After a long silence, Sofia spoke first. "You're in love with him, aren't you?" Anna's lips parted. "I don't know." Sofia said. "And he deserves to know what happened." Anna looked down. "I told him once," Sofia said, "when we were teenagers. The truth doesn't ruin relationships. Silence does." Anna blinked hard. "I didn't mean to lose you." "You didn't," Sofia replied. "You just left before I could hold you together." A tear slipped down Anna's cheek. "You think?" "He's going to leave if you tell him the truth," Sofia asked. "Maybe," Anna whispered. "Then you don't know him." Anna looked up. "He's one of the only good ones, Anna," Sofia said. "And people like him. They stay when it matters." Back at the studio that evening, Anna found Keanu sitting by himself again. Same piano. Same quiet posture. She walked in and sat beside him. "I need to tell you something," she said. He turned to her. "Ready? You remember when I told you there were things I had locked away?" she asked. He nodded. "One of them is a night in Madrid. It was the night I lost my father and almost lost my sister." Keanu said nothing, just listened. "We had a fight," she continued. "I said things I didn't mean. I left the hospital before he passed. I missed his final breath, and I've carried that guilt for years." Her voice trembled now. "After that, I stopped letting people in, even you. I thought if I opened up, I'd break. Or worse, I'd break someone else." Keanu reached for her hand. "But you didn't," he said softly. "You didn't break me. It reminded me what it means to feel again." Anna looked at him with wide, teary eyes. "I have something for you," she whispered. She pulled the old letter from her coat pocket and handed it to him. "I wrote this a long time ago. Just never had the courage to give it to you." Keanu unfolded it quietly, read every line. When he reached the end, he didn't speak. Not at first. Then he looked at her and said, "Thank you for letting me see you." And for the first time, Anna didn't feel afraid. She felt free. But just when they thought things were beginning to settle, Anna's phone buzzed again. This time, the message was from an unknown number, and it simply read, "You're not safe. Not with him." The photo he'd never meant to show with rain had started to fall lightly over the old studio lot, soft and steady, like someone whispering secrets to the earth. It was just past midnight. Most of the crew had gone home hours ago. Only a few lights stayed on, and the hum of silence filled the corridors. Keanu Reeves stood under the edge of a dim hallway, leaning against the wall like he was carrying more than just the weight of the scene they had failed to finish. Anna, Marmas, walked quickly, her heels tapping on the wet pavement, her coat pulled tight around her. Her eyes were red, not from the cold, not from the rain, but from the quiet kind of anger, the kind that builds when trust starts to fade. They had argued earlier. Something small, something stupid. But that wasn't the real reason she wanted to leave. She had seen the change in him. The way he looked at her had shifted, not with distance, but with something he wasn't saying. Something that made her feel like a stranger, even in a room filled with familiar faces. She didn't see him at first. She had almost passed him. "Anna." His voice broke through the dark, like a quiet plea. She stopped, her back still turned, rain sliding down her hair. "Please." "Just 1 second," he said. She turned halfway, not fully, not yet ready. "Keanu, I really can't," but he didn't speak again. He simply reached into the inside of his coat and pulled out a small, worn envelope. He didn't hand it to her. Not yet. He looked down at it like it hurt to even hold. "I didn't mean for you to see this," he said softly, "but maybe it's time." He took one slow step forward and gently placed it in her hand. Her fingers curled around it, unsure, her brows tightening. "What is it?" she asked, her voice low. "Just open it when you're alone," he whispered. For a moment, she didn't move. She looked at him like she wanted to scream or cry or maybe both. But instead, she turned again and walked away, the envelope pressed against her chest. She didn't say goodbye, and he didn't call after her. Hours later, in her apartment, she sat alone on the floor beside a half-packed suitcase. Her fingers trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside, there was only one thing. A photo, old, a little bent at the corners. Black and white in the photo, she saw herself, not a photo she remembered ever taking. She was sitting on the edge of a stage laughing. Sunlight was in her eyes, and beside her Keanu, not looking at the camera, not even smiling, just watching her like she was something he thought he could never have. On the back of the photo, written in faded ink, were 5 words. "She saved me without knowing." Anna's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes stayed on the image, unmoving, while tears quietly fell. The next morning, she didn't catch her flight. She didn't even tell anyone. She walked back into the studio gates just after dawn, hair still wet from the shower, no makeup, no bags. The guard at the entrance didn't even ask. He just opened the gate and nodded inside. Keanu sat alone at the piano in the rehearsal room. His fingers rested on the keys, not playing, just thinking. His eyes were far away. Anna stepped inside quietly. He looked up, surprised. "You never told me?" she said, her voice soft but steady. He didn't pretend to not know what she meant. "I didn't think I deserved to," he replied. "Why now?" she asked. Keanu stood up slowly, walked over, looked at her carefully, like she might vanish. "Because when you turned to walk away," said, "I realized I was about to lose the only person who ever saw me, before the world did." Didn't speak for a long time. And then, quietly, she held out the photo. "You took this?" she whispered. He nodded. "You really felt that way?" she asked again. His voice cracked a little. "I still do." And just like that, something shifted. Not everything was fixed. Not yet, but something old and broken in both of them had started to breathe again, and outside, the rain had finally stopped. She asked one question that changed everything. The next few days passed in slow, uncertain steps. Something unspoken still lingered between them, like a thread pulled too tight, stretched between regret and hope. Anna came back to the set, but her energy was quieter now. She moved through scenes like she was searching for something behind every line. Keanu watched her differently too, not with fear anymore, but with care, as if he was trying to memorize every second she gave him. On Wednesday afternoon, just before lunch, the director called for a break. The lights dimmed and the room emptied. Keanu remained seated on the edge of the set, sipping water, staring at the floor. He didn't notice Anna until she sat down beside him. She didn't say anything at first, just sat there, shoulders almost touched, and she asked the question, "When did you take that photo?" He turned slowly, unsure how to answer. "Years ago," he said. "It was the first week we worked together. We were doing camera tests. I don't think you noticed me that." Diana looked ahead, her voice soft. "I noticed." "Ah." Keanu's eyes shifted. "You did?" "You were sitting in the shadows," she said, smiling just a little. "You always do that. You hide in quiet places." He gave a soft laugh. "Maybe I didn't want to be seen." Anna turned to him. "But you took that photo." "Why?" He hesitated. Then, finally, "Because you looked free. You weren't performing. You weren't anyone else. You were just you." Her lips parted. Something fragile moved in her chest. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" she whispered. He looked away. "Because I thought it wasn't my place. I didn't want you to think I saw you as anything less than what you are." "And what am I?" she asked. He looked at her now fully. "You're someone who matters," he said. "Not just because of your talent. Not just because of who the world thinks you are. But because, when I was going through the hardest time of my life, you were kind. Without asking questions, without expecting anything." Anna sat very still. "You mean after your friend passed away?" she asked gently. Keanu nodded. "You brought me soup that day," he continued. He didn't even say anything, just left. "It outside my door, but it meant everything." Anna looked down at her hands. "I didn't think you remembered that." "I never forgot," he said. Silence filled the space between them, not cold, not tense, just full of weight. Then Anna asked something that surprised them both. "What else have you kept?" Keanu looked confused. "What do you mean you kept that photo? What else are you holding on to that you think I shouldn't see?" He blinked. Slowly. "You really want to know?" Anna nodded. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small leather notebook. It looked old, used. The corners were frayed. "I write sometimes," he said quietly. "Nothing special, just thoughts." Handed it to her without hesitation. Anna took it, unsure. "You trust me with this?" she asked. "I've trusted you from the beginning," he said. She opened it. Inside were short passages, fragments of things. Some lines sounded like poems, some like memories. But one entry caught her eye. "I stood across the stage, and I saw her like a lighthouse in fog, not saving me, just reminding me that I didn't have to be lost forever." Anna closed the notebook slowly. Her voice broke a little. "This is about me." He nodded. She looked at him, eyes wet again, but softer now. "I'm not perfect, Keanu," she said. "I have moments where I fall apart, where I push people away, even the ones who care." "I know," he said gently, "and that's why I stayed." The room stayed quiet after that. Just them. Just the weight of the truth finally being shared. Later that night, Anna went home and opened the notebook again. She read every line, every scratch of ink. She stayed up until dawn reading it, and something inside her, something she had locked away, began to breathe again. On set the next day, she walked in with a quiet smile. Not for anyone else, it's just for him. And for the first time in a long time. "House," he smiled back. But neither of them knew what was coming next. Because while healing begins in silence, the past always knocks louder than expected. Someone from the past walked in the following week, moved like warm waves on a quiet beach, gentle, gun, but with a pull beneath the surface that neither Anna nor Keanu could explain. They worked together again as if something sacred had returned. They didn't talk too much, didn't try to name the shift, but it was there, in the small glances, in the soft smiles, in the way their scenes suddenly felt more alive, more real. The director noticed it first. During a rehearsal, he clapped. Slowly, almost stunned. "Whatever you two are doing," he said, "don't stop." They both laughed, but neither said a word. Yet behind that soft rhythm of trust, something else began to stir. On Thursday morning, Anna walked into the makeup trailer early. She liked the quiet before the day started. The room was empty, except for one of the stylists, a kind woman named Marcy. "Morning," Anna greeted. Marcy smiled. "You're glowing these days, you know that?" Anna chuckled. "Just getting more sleep, maybe?" Marcy leaned in and whispered, "Or maybe someone's finally looking at you the way you deserve." Anna blushed but didn't answer. She sat in the chair, letting Marcy work, letting the silence fill with peace. But peace has a way of being short-lived. An hour later, while rehearsals were underway, a new face appeared on set. Tall, confident, dressed in designer black and holding a phone like it was part of her hand. Her name was Alina, and she was Keanu's ex. Anna didn't see her at first. She was in costume, reading over lines alone near the edge of the soundstage. But she heard the voice. "Keanu? You still look the same?" Anna's head lifted slowly. She turned and saw them. Alina had her hand lightly on Keanu's arm, smiling with that kind of ease that only comes from history. Keanu looked surprised, not cold but not warm either, like someone trying to step carefully. Through old glass, Anna stood still, not wanting to listen, but unable to move away. "I didn't expect to see you here," Alina said, "but I was invited by the producers. Thought I'd stop by, see how things are going." "Right," Keanu replied politely. Anna felt something strange then. Not jealousy, not anger. Something deeper. A fear. The kind that comes when you realize someone knew a version of the person you're just starting to discover. Alina's eyes drifted and caught sight of Anna. "Is that Anna?" she asked. Keanu nodded. "Yeah, she's amazing, really." Alina smirked, just a little. "We always was. The rising star." "Guess you two are close now." Keanu didn't reply right away. Anna turned and walked away before she could hear what he'd say later. After lunch, Keanu found her sitting outside alone on a bench near the garden wall. "Hey," he said softly. She looked up, gave a weak smile. "Hey." He sat beside her, silence falling for a moment. "Alina just showed up," he said. "I didn't know she was coming." Anna nodded. "It's fine. Is it?" he asked. She looked at him. "You had a life before this." "Before me? It's not my place to ask about it." "But maybe it should be," he said. She frowned slightly. "Look," he continued, "Alina and I ended things a long time ago. She wanted something else, something I couldn't give. I tried to make it work, but my heart was never really in it." Anna stayed quiet. Keanu turned toward her. "But when I'm with you, Anna, it's different." "Different how?" she asked gently. He searched for the words. "With you, I don't have to pretend to be strong all the time," he said. "You let me be real." She looked down. Then, why did it hurt, seeing her touch your arm like that, hearing her laugh with you? He reached out, touched her hand. "Because the past always has a way of showing up when the future is about to change," he said. "But I'm not looking back anymore." Anna looked up, her eyes soft but unsure. "I need to believe that," she whispered. "Then give me the chance to prove it," he said that night. Anna opened her phone and saw an unknown number had sent her a message just for words. "He deserves the truth." No name, no photo, just the message. Anna's heart skipped, because only one person would send, or something like that, and she hadn't spoken to her in years. Her sister, someone Anna had walked away from when the pain got too heavy, and now, suddenly the past was calling her too. The truth that changed everything. Ganon didn't sleep that night. She sat in her living room with the lights off, holding her phone like it was a weapon. The messages were still there. All three, each one colder than the last, each one building a pressure inside her that felt like it might crack her open. Keanu had called twice. She didn't answer, not because she was angry, but because she didn't know what to say. The man she had just begun to trust fully had been protecting her from something dark. Dangerous and deeply hidden by morning, she made a decision. She walked straight into the studio, past makeup, ignored rehearsals, and went directly to the producer's office. The door was open. He was sipping coffee and reading notes. "We need to shut everything down," she said. He looked up. "Excuse me? Someone's watching me," she said. "I've been threatened, and Keanu knew. He didn't tell you, but I'm telling. You now?" The room went quiet. "We need security. We need to check who has access. Cameras, emails, everything." The producer blinked, then stood up slowly. "Anna, are you saying I'm saying we're not safe?" she said. "I'm not waiting for something worse to happen." He paused, then picked up the phone and called studio security. Her voice had been calm, but underneath she was shaking outside the building. Keanu was waiting. He had dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't rested either. "I didn't expect you to come in," he said. "I couldn't stay quiet," she replied. "They want to break us down from the inside. I won't let them." He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time again. "You're braver than you think," he said. "I learned from you," she whispered. By noon, an investigation had started. Private cyber specialists had been called. And by evening, the truth began to unfold. Someone on the inside had been leaking personal data from both Anna and Keanu's records. Emails, photos, even footage from their dressing rooms. Someone they trusted, someone close. And it wasn't just one person. It was a small group of investors in the production, trying to force drama into the media. They wanted scandal, something to drive attention, headlines, and ticket sales. Had manipulated actors in the past, planted rumors, even sabotaged careers. And now, they had tried to destroy what Anna and Keanu were building, not just on screen, but off it too. When the studio heads learned the full story, the guilty were immediately removed, contracts were canceled, police were called, legal teams stepped in. But through all of it, Keanu stayed by Anna's side. One evening, after the dust began to settle, he found her again on the rooftop of the building, where she often went to breathe. She was looking out at the city lights. He walked over slowly. "It's over," he said. She nodded. For now, he stood beside her. "I don't know if this changes anything, but I've never respected someone the way I respect you." She looked at him, her voice soft. "I was about to walk away, you know, before all this, before this photo, before the letter." "I know," he said. "That's why I gave you that photo. I had to show you how long you've mattered." She turned to him, tears in her eyes, but not sad ones, not fearful ones. They were full of something stronger. "I want to keep mattering," she whispered. Keanu smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't fade. "Then stay," he said, "and let's build something real, not just for the camera, but for us." She took a deep breath, then slowly reached out. Tan took his hand, and under the stars, without scripts, lights, or cameras, two souls that had been hiding for years finally stepped into the light together, not as broken pieces, but as something whole. A year later, a new film premiered. It wasn't the one they were working on when the threats came. It was a new project, one they had written together. A story of love, truth, fear, and trust. The audience stood at the end, clapping not just because of the film, but because the story behind it had become a quiet legend in Hollywood. A reminder that sometimes the bravest thing people can do is tell the truth and hold on when it's easier to let go. The message no one expected. Anna stared at the message. "You're not safe. Not with him." Her fingers froze above the screen. Her chest tightened. For a few moments, the world around her faded, the lights of the studio, the muffled voices, even the sound of Keanu's footsteps returning with 2 coffees in hand. "They didn't have the almond milk you like," he said gently. She blinked and looked up, quickly locking the phone and forcing a small smile. "This is perfect," she said. He sat beside her, watching her with soft concern. "You okay?" he asked. Anna hesitated. "Just tired," she led, but her hands trembled. Later that evening, after they wrapped for the day, Anna sat alone in her car in the underground parking lot. She unlocked her phone again, read the message once more, and then opened the sender's number. No name, no ID, nothing. Just a second message that had come while she was filming. He has secrets. You don't know what he's hiding. She felt a chill crawl across her back. She didn't want to believe it. She didn't, but the messages weren't random. They were specific, personal, designed to trigger fear. For the next 2 days, Anna didn't say anything. She smiled when needed. She laughed during takes, but inside, she was unraveling. She began watching Keanu more closely, how he answered calls, where he disappeared to during breaks, what he said when he thought no one was listening, and it hurt, because she didn't want to doubt him. But something had changed. On the third night, she followed him. Not far. Just enough he had told her he was going to a quiet cafe to read scripts. But when he left, he didn't turn toward the cafe, he turned toward the old library downtown. Anna parked quietly across the street and watched. He entered through a side door, unmarked. 20 minutes passed, then 30 finally. Curiosity pushed her out of the car. She approached the building, heart racing. She wasn't angry. She wasn't even sure what she was. But the silence of unanswered questions had become too loud. Inside, the hallway was dim. Old wood panels. Smell of dust and forgotten years. She heard voices behind a door. Soft. Serious, she leaned closer. "You're sure she doesn't know?" said one voice. Not Keanu's voice. She doesn't. And she shouldn't. It's not her burden. Anna's breath caught. "You're playing a dangerous game, Reeves, keeping her this close. If this goes sideways, she's the first they'll come after. Then I'll protect her," Keanu said firmly. "Even if it means burning." Everything else. The voices stopped. Anna stepped back quickly, heart pounding. She didn't understand. Who were they talking about? What was going to go sideways? And who was they? Before she could move, the door creaked open. Keanu stepped out. He froze when he saw her. They stood there in silence. He looked tired. More tired than she had ever seen him. "How long have you been standing there?" he asked quietly. "Long enough," she whispered. "Who are you protecting me from?" He looked at her, eyes filled with a kind of pain that words couldn't hold. "Anna," he said, "I never wanted you to be part of this." "Part of what?" He hesitated, then finally he spoke. "Someone has been watching you," he said, "since we started filming. I found out 3 weeks ago." Her body stiffened. "Knew? And you didn't tell me?" "Because I thought I could handle it. I thought I could make it stop quietly. But the people behind this, they're not normal. You've done this before to others in the industry. Tracking, blackmail, threats. And now me." She whispered. He nodded. "I couldn't lose you," he said, voice cracking. "So I stayed quiet. I tried to shield you." "I didn't know it would reach your phone." Anna stepped back, overwhelmed. "You should have told me," she said. "I had a right to know." "I know," he whispered. "I was wrong." They stood there in that narrow hallway, surrounded by secrets, shadows, and the storm neither of them had seen coming. Suddenly, Anna's phone buzzed again. A third message. "You have 48 hours. Walk away from him, or the truth goes public." Anna's hands shook. "They're threatening me now," she said. "Not you. Me." Keanu stepped closer, his voice steady and full of quiet fire. Then we faced them together. But even as he said it, they both knew someone was coming, and they were running out of time.